The United States, Germany, France, and several other Western countries expelled their respective Syrian diplomats May 29th in response to the reported killing of more than 100 Syrian citizens last week. These moves represent an increase in diplomatic pressure from the West, as well as an uptick in violence in Syria. However, it's important to remember that such surges in violence in Syria are not unprecedented, and that despite these diplomatic gestures, the unrest in Syria has not reached a turning point for foreign military intervention. The conflict in Syria has persisted for more than a year, and despite reports that the Syrian regime's fall is imminent, the Assad regime is still standing on three key pillars that ensure its survival. These pillars are the al-Assad clan's hold on power, Alawite unity, and Alawite control of the military intelligence apparatus, all of which remain in place. The element with the ability to most weaken the al-Assad regime's hold on power is foreign military intervention. However, thus far it is clear that the US and the West have no appetite for overt foreign military intervention in Syria. The most that has been done in this regard, aside from rhetoric, is that the Gulf states have allegedly begun funding and providing weapons to Syrian rebels with the coordination of the United States. This foreign funding and arming of the Syrian rebels has the potential to improve the rebels' capabilities in the long term, especially if anti-tank weapons were indeed part of the weapons shipments. Such weapons could greatly aid the rebels since tanks have been a mainstay of the Syrian regime in the fighting. But so far the weapons have not translated to new tactics, new strike targets, the ability to hold meaningful territory, or a significant increase of capabilities by the rebels. On the contrary, the regime has demonstrated that they still have the ability to carry out large-scale offensives on restive cities, as was demonstrated with the killing of more than 100 citizens northwest of Homs May 25th. Such crackdowns are not uncommon, as there have been several offensives on Homs and other restive cities, such as Idlib, Hama, and Daraa, since the beginning of the uprising. Despite the most recent bout of violence, UN envoy to Syria Kofi Annan indicated that the UN mission will continue, and that violence led by Syrian forces and terrorists must cease in order for the UN peace plan to succeed. It is possible that should the Syrian government continue to launch offensives on restive cities, the peace plan could fall apart. A similar abandonment was seen in late January when Syria began intensifying attacks on the Damascus suburbs, which helped propel the suspension of the Arab League Monitor mission. The attention paid to the conflict in Syria, however, is not merely about human rights and justices. Just as the Syrian rebels are allegedly being backed by Gulf states and the United States, the Syrian forces are being supported by Iran. The extent of this support is unverified, but a recent statement from the deputy head of Iran's Quds Force indicated that Iran has a physical and non-physical presence inside Syria. Iranian involvement in the Syria crisis is important to note, as Syria maintains close ties with Iran. Iranian involvement in Syria highlights a broader struggle for Iran to expand its sphere of influence by ensuring a pro-Iranian Syrian government still stands. It is because of this that Western countries and Gulf states do not want to see a strong Iranian-backed Syria coming out of the conflict. Peace plans such as Annan's plan and the Arab League mission before that are measures put in place by countries to illustrate that they are working to pacify the conflict in Syria. However, in reality, no country has the willingness to get involved militarily in Syria. Such a move would require even more resources, manpower, and time than the Libya campaign, and has the potential to create a dangerous void in power, which could disrupt the delicate balance in the Levant and the surrounding region.